This is the good cop. This is the bad cop. In last week's episode, we visited the Qing millionaire family home, a Chinese medieval castle-like ancient compound belonging to one of the wealthiest families in central China. In today's episode, we visit what may be the finest historical institution in all of China, the Henan Museum. This flagship facility sits on the very site the Chinese civilization originated from over 3,000 years ago. From its unique exterior to the numerous national treasures inside, we can't wait to take you inside. Good morning, everyone. We are standing in front of the Henan Provincial Museum. Take a look at that. We are in the provincial capital, Zhengzhou City. And this is the Henan Provincial Museum, the number one, the best, the largest, the most treasures inside. You know, I've been wanting to come to this museum for many different years now. Because if you've heard of the 4 great Chinese museums, Henan Museum is actually not one of them. However, I think it stands in a category of its own because Henan is where the Chinese people, it's one of the original places where the Chinese people, the Chinese civilization was birthed. So you're standing here at a place that is at the very beginning of Chinese history. So think about the number of items they have inside. Unbelievable. The entire building, as you can see here, is structured like a Shang Dynasty bronze piece. Look at the architectural design of this. Absolutely beautiful. So you see this with many different Chinese museums. This is not the only one. The Shanghai Museum is also shaped like a traditional bronze ding. So it's not the first time you've seen this. However, I've been wanting to come here, but kept putting it off because Henan just kept falling off on my travel list. But finally, I made it. As we begin to walk in, let me give you some very brief introduction about how large this place is, when did it open, and what we're gonna look for today. First thing, 55,000 square meters. This entire thing that you see ahead of you, 55,000 square meters. That's 550,000 square feet. Incredibly large. Now, we're not going to be able to go through every single hall today because there are some temporary exhibitions. There are also likely going to be some non-historical related exhibitions. We're going to focus on the main thing. Opened to the public in 1997. Over 130,000 pieces under its management. I think at any one point they'll probably display 5,000 to 6,000. And of those, 9 pieces are the highlight. Remember that. This museum has 9 pieces that are the highlight, the key, the number one. 9 pieces from very early in Chinese history. We're going to look at every single one of them. And I'm also going to give you an overview of the entire place, except some of these temporary exhibits, temporary shows. We're going to look at everything they have that is relevant to the core history of Henan province. And look at that. Look at where we are. We're in the middle of Zhengzhou City, in the old city area. A lot of skyscrapers around me in the distance. But here is land that's specifically reserved for the Henan Provincial Museum. And this place is large. Look at the size of this square. So it's a very large place. We're going to go in and we're going to enjoy our day. I think it'll take me maybe 3.5, 4 hours to get through everything. If I came here as just a tourist wandering around, I could probably do it in 2 hours. But I'm going to do it slowly. I'm going to try to explain each of these 9 items, 2 of which are on the list, the initial list of Chinese artifacts that are forbidden to be shown abroad. They're forbidden to be left. They're not allowed to leave the country. So this is the only opportunity you'll be able to see them, is to come here physically, or if they're on loan to another Chinese museum. So I'm super excited about that. I hope you are as well. It's very early in the morning. They're just starting to open up. We got here bright and early because we want to get our day started. So super excited. We're gonna go walk in now. Hopefully it's a little bit of a smooth process. You got to remember something. If you're a foreign passport holder, and this is something I found out, if you don't have a U.S. or if you don't have a Chinese national ID, you have to use your passport and come here to the southern gate. I mean, you got to remember, this place has 4 gates. It's a large, square, rectangular shaped building. It's got 4 gates. You have to come to the southern gate with your passport physically in hand in order to get a ticket. So keep that in mind. If you're a Chinese national ID holder, just reserve online with your national ID. It'll pop up with a QR code, and you can just swipe that to get in. But here, it doesn't matter. We made it. We're going in. I got my ticket. We're going in. Hopefully there's going to be no problems, and we're going to get our day started. Beautiful. Let's get going. All right, y'all. I'm standing here in front of this map. This time, instead of getting a paper map, they got a big piece of stone here that has the map printed on here. So that's going to save some paper. Okay, now check out this building right here. You remember when we were looking at from the outside what this building looked like? Look at how everything slants upward. That's because the shape of the building is a ding, right? Y'all see that? It gets thick on the bottom. Y'all see that? Gets a little bit narrower, all the way up to the top, right? All right, now we're standing here. We're about to go in. There's a lot of people today. But here's what we're going to be focused on. We're standing on the first floor. So we're standing here, and look at how these numbers are numbered, right? It all makes sense. You go in through here, number 1, you come out, and then you go in through number 2, you come out, and you see 3 and 4, take some steps up, and then you start here, 5, 6, 7, 8, boom. That's because the steps lead up to here, so you go into 5, 6, 7, and 8. This is going to be the highlight of today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These 8 halls covering the first 2 floors is going to be what we're focused on today. Why? Because this is when Henan was look at this. I saw this word right here. Oh, look, right here. A great civilization rises with capitals established in the central plain. This is the origination of the Chinese people, of the Chinese race. So you got to keep that in mind. This is why these 8 here are so important. These 8 here are what we're going to be focused on today. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to number 8. Okay? So we're going to start at the Stone Age, Neolithic Age, and then we're going to the Shang, all the way up here. And then there's a few more up top. That we're going to look at, but they're not going to be as important as what we see here. I see a lot of people today. Y'all see that? There's a big group here. So I see a lot of people, and it's going to be a lot of walking. But what we're going to do, and I actually went to number 12 just now. I actually went upstairs because right here it says it's a highlight of national treasures. So I thought maybe they kept all the top tier things in number 12. Wrong. I didn't see anything in there except some cartoons and some clip art on the wall. So now if we go into number 1, 2, 3, and 4, this is where you're going to see the pieces. They're going to be all scattered about. Now we're talking about over 5,000 pieces that are ranked number tier 1 and tier 2 national treasure pieces. They're going to be spread throughout here, 5,000 pieces. We're not going to be able to see them all, but we're focused on 9 pieces, and I came prepared, y'all. Y'all see this? I came prepared. This is not a game, guys. I came prepared to find you guys and to also see it myself, because it's also my first time here, the 9 most important pieces in Henan. So we're going to start with hall number 1. It's going to be the Neolithic Age, and then we're going to move into the Bronze Age, Shang and the Shang Dynasty, and then we're going to continue with the Bronze Age, and eventually we're going to reach the Shang, the Zhou, the Spring, Autumn, the Qing. We're going to reach all that later on. So this is going to be an exciting day. You're going to see everything. Y'all see there's a lot of people here today. I'm still standing here, right here in the lobby. I'm waiting for the big tour groups to make their way through the different halls so I can give you guys a better viewing experience and we can actually see the pieces instead of just looking at people. I wanted to show y'all something that I actually printed out and brought with me. It was actually printed in Chinese, but it has photos, so I'm going to give you a good idea of what we're looking for in these 9 items and how many we can find. Take a look at this. This is going to be the first piece that we're looking for. This is also the most important piece out of everything in this entire museum. This is the only piece of artifact ever found related to Emperor Wu Zetian. She was first an empress, and then she became the only female emperor of China. This is the only small object, non-statue, non-building, non-temple item ever found associated with her. It's sitting right here in this museum, so hopefully we'll get to see it today. The second item right here is going to be a large ding, which is a vessel. Let's just call it a bronze vessel. So the entire thing is made out of bronze. It was unearthed in 1974, and it's from the early Shang Dynasty. So it's really important to remember that it's from the early Shang Dynasty, not the late Shang Dynasty. It was unearthed in 1974, but this thing is at least 3,000 years old, likely even older. And the reason why it's so important is it's very rare to find items like this with shapes as clear as this from early Shang Dynasty, which is the second recorded dynasty in Chinese history. Remember that, the second recorded dynasty in Chinese history. This we're going to see. This right here is from Western Zhou Dynasty, late period Western Zhou Dynasty. This is actually a sword. I know it doesn't look like much in this photo. This is a sword with a jade handle, and the blade is made out of iron. It's the first piece of object in Chinese history that's ever been discovered that's made out of artificially man-made, man-shaped iron. This is from Western Zhou, so it's a little bit after the Shang Dynasty. This should be about 25, 26, 2700 years old. Remember, not bronze. This is made out of iron, guys. Earliest piece of man-made shaped iron in Chinese history. Right here. We're going to see this today as well. Now this piece right here is going to be a little bit further upstairs. I had a look and I saw that this should be available for us to see. This is a very rare Northern Song Dynasty piece of ceramic, pottery. It's a lost art. They're no longer able to make this. They only made it for about 20 years for the imperial family. This is the only piece they've ever found at that site that wasn't broken into pieces. It was found completely intact. And I know you can't see it well here, but there are actually flower patterns on it. It's also the only one with flower patterns in the world. Alright, this one is going to be from this. Where's this from? This is from the spring and autumn period. So this is going to be even after the Zhou Dynasty. Remember I said here, Western Zhou Dynasty? This is after that. This is after that. The Northern Song, this is actually much after that. And then here, you have the spring and autumn period. I know this is a lot to keep up with, guys, but I'm not going to confuse you with all these numbers anymore. Just know that this is from the spring and autumn period, about 2300 years ago of Chinese history. 22 to 2300 years ago. So we're in BC territory, not AD, BC territory. This is going to be a piece we're looking for. Now this is again from the same time period, 22 to 2300 years ago, unearthed in 1978. We're going to be looking for this. This is unearthed in 1987. This is from the prehistoric period. We're actually going to go walk into hall number 1 right now because I see the tour groups, they've kind of dissipated, they've spread into different halls. So we're going to go walk in, and this is actually made out of bone. It's a flute, an instrument that's made out of bone. Unbelievable. Unearthed in 1987. We're going to see this. And if we keep moving, we should be moving on to the final 2 pieces. This one right here is going to be from the late Shang Dynasty. This is unearthed in 1976 from Fu Hao's tomb. The only Shang Dynasty, the second dynasty of China, the only Shang Dynasty imperial tomb that wasn't robbed by grave robbers. It's kind of like the Tutankhamun of China. They found this entire tomb intact, and this is one of the objects from inside. I'm not sure if we'll be able to see this today, if it's on exhibit, but if we do, we're certainly going to find it. If it is, we're certainly going to find it. And this last one is going to be from the Western Han Dynasty, so about 2,000 years old, and it was unearthed in 1987. I believe this is a map of some kind of spirits. It says 4 different spirits, clouds, map. So we're going to see that. That's going to be upstairs. I found this already, so we should be able to see this today. This is upstairs, Western Han Dynasty, but remember, this is going to be the key of what we're looking for. This is made out of entirely gold, pure solid gold, 95% pure gold, from the only female emperor of China. There's so much story behind this piece, guys. I'm so excited. I really hope this is on exhibit today. Anyway, so these are the 9 pieces. So let me explain why these 9 pieces are so important. Every Chinese museum is going to have the special highlight pieces. This one is no different. And when you're in a provincial museum like this is going to be in this capital. In the capital. So you think about what is the capital of Illinois? The capital of Illinois is Springfield, right? What's the capital of North Carolina? It's Raleigh, North Carolina. So if you have a museum, let's call it a North Carolina State Museum in Raleigh, North Carolina, what do you think it's going to exhibit? It's going to usually exhibit pieces that are related to North Carolinian history, right? So from British colony, colonial times, independence, early stages as a state. Maybe it's got some stories about the university systems there, earliest public school university in the entire United States, University of North Carolina, right? You're going to have things that are related to that state. Well, this Chinese museum, the Henan Museum, is no different. This is going to be focused on pieces that are unearthed from the vicinity and inside the boundaries of where this current province is. So all these pieces that you see here are unearthed from this state, from this province, and it's being displayed in this capital museum here in Henan. So it's really important to keep that in mind. This is why you can't really see these pieces anywhere else unless this museum loans it outside. You can't really see them because in China, every province wants to keep its best things on display in its own provincial museum for its own people to enjoy. Alright y'all, I'm walking into this first hall, the Neolithic Age, and as you can see here, much better, much fewer people, no tour groups. We're going to get a very nice look at some of the highlight pieces in here, but this is going to be early Chinese age, the Neolithic Age. I think right after Neanderthals, right after the beginning of Homo sapiens, you're starting to have organized society. You're starting to have culture. You're starting to have artifacts. This is why people are starting to cook. They're starting to use fire, right? And these are the things, very, very early pieces that are being preserved. So keep that in mind. We're going to walk over here. Y'all can see there's a preface here in English. You have to understand the central plain that it's describing, that's where we're standing because it runs right along the Yellow River. This right here is the ancestral land of the Chinese race. You have to remember that. The Chinese race was born here. The Chinese civilization that you know today was born in this part of the country. And why is that so important? Well, because when you were early, you didn't have tap water, right? You didn't have these facilities. So wherever it is that you could be, that'll get you close to the Yellow River, that'll get you close to a water source that could sustain yourself, this is going to be where the early people settled. The Central Plain is the birthplace of the oracle bone inscription. Oracle inscriptions, the earliest form of Chinese scripts excavated from Ying ruins. I wanted to put a plug in here, guys. Stay tuned, because coming up, we are going to the Ying ruins. Not in this episode, but we're going up. In the upcoming 2 episodes, we'll be going to the Ying ruins. It's about 2 hours driving from here, within state lines. We're going here. I'm going to take you guys to see the only unrobbed tomb from the Shang Dynasty in Chinese history. It's like the Tutankhamun tomb, the only unrobbed Egyptian royal pharaoh tomb from Egypt Well, China has something just like it. It's called the Ying ruins. We're going there. Guys, y'all see that? Y'all see that, ladies and gentlemen? Right ahead of me is the bone flute. But before I get there, I wanted to take a look at this bone right here. This is actually a tortoise shell. So you can see on this tortoise shell, look at that. There's no writing whatsoever. Well, why is this important? This, guys, from 9,000 years ago. 9,000 years ago, this was excavated. And why is this so important? Because if you look at this, do you see any writing? Nope. But you're starting to see symbols, right? So people were starting to get the idea as early as 9,000 to 7,000 years ago that these types of bones and shells could be used to record information. This is the precursor to what is known as the oracle bones. And the people were so smart back then, they knew to do this as early as 9,000 years ago. And this right here is the first item today that we saw on our list. This is the bone flute. This is from 9,000 years ago, guys. It's made from, let me see if I can get the language correct here. It's from a crane. Crane, that must be a bird. Yes, it's from that bird. It's from a crane bone, a ulna bone. And then you look at that. There are holes that are made so carefully, so well done, that it looks like it was done by machine. But look at this. Look at this. What in the world? Look at this. This is 9,000 years old. Look at this. Look at this. This is the first of the 9 pieces we found. It is a flute. We don't even know what culture, what civilization this is from, what tribe. I think that may be the best word. We don't even know what tribe this is from. We just know that it's 9,000 to 7,000 years old, and they likely dated that using carbon dating or some type of modern forensics. Look at that. This is from 9,000 years ago, guys. They were playing instruments, they were playing music as early as 9,000 years ago. And they knew how to use an animal, a bird bone. In order to make an instrument. Unbelievable. So we've checked off the first item on our list, the bone flute. This is incredible. Look at the level of surface polish on this. This is after 9,000 years. Look at how shiny it is. Can y'all see this? Unbelievable. This is unbelievable, guys. And I'll bet you this can actually still play to this day. The structural integrity of this thing is completely intact. I bet you guys it still plays. Oh, look at that. It says, as revealed in tests, this instrument can produce notes of scale, which is basically the same as the 7 notes. Yo, the 7 notes. They had this 9,000 years ago. Yo, what is going on here, guys? That's incredible. This is one of the highlight pieces. All right, we're gonna keep moving forward and see what else we can find. This is in hall number 1. Look at this piece. This is from 7,000 to 5,000 years ago. Look at this. So at this point in Chinese history, you didn't have any bronze or iron technology. Everything they made was using pottery. This is a pottery piece. This is a fancier word for saying mud. This is mud that's been baked by fire to put it into shape. And if you look at the shape of this thing, it's not even, right? It's not a very even shape. But this is how you identify prehistoric Neolithic Age Chinese pottery. Look at these patterns on here. Very simple colors, yet you clearly can differentiate between dark colors here and light colors here. Look at that. Beautiful. And according to this here, it says these are petal patterns. Look at that. You actually have a pair here that's the same thing, also from around the same age. But you can see here now the color is red. You see that? This is red color, but also with darker lines on it. I'm not sure what these are supposed to symbolize, but this is a drinking vessel. And it says each of the two people drink from one of these two to show their togetherness and their friendship. How about that? Look at that. Y'all ever hear the Cartier love bracelet? Y'all heard of that? Man wears one, woman wears one to show their love and affection. That right there was like an early version of the Cartier love bracelet. What you think, guys? Stupid comparison? Ha ha ha. Bad joke. All right. Now I'm going to give you guys a brief look at the rest of this hall. So again, you don't see any bronze. You certainly don't see any iron because we're still in the Neolithic Age. Very important to remember that we're still in the Neolithic Age. Everything here you're going to see is pottery. All kinds of pottery, which means, as you can see here, some of these pieces, when they were dug up, they were actually shattered, so they had to be put back together. And that's the problem with pottery. Easier to make them bronze, harder to preserve over history. All right, we're gonna make our way out of this hall. Additional pottery pieces here. But remember what we just saw? That bone flute, that instrument, that's the highlight. We just found our first piece for the day. We're gonna make our way out of here and go to hall number 2. We're in exhibit hall number 2 now. Now we're starting to get into the thick of it. This is going to be the Xia and the Shang Dynasty, the first 2 dynasties in Chinese history ever recorded in the history books, the Xia and the Shang Dynasty. Now here's where it's going to get a little bit controversial. Those of you who are well-read, those of you who know a bit about Chinese history know that the existence of the Xia Dynasty is still very much in dispute. Some historians think that the Xia Dynasty existed, for sure. As a matter of fact, they associate the Xia Dynasty with the early Zhou culture. Some historians don't think that's the case. They think the Xia is just a mystical, made-up concept by the later Zhou Dynasty to justify their seizing power from the Shang Dynasty. So they said, the Shang took power from the Xia, so I took it from the Shang. It's all good. So some people think that Zhou made it up. Because right now, before I came to Henan province, I didn't even know that there were archaeological evidence that they found here related to the Xia Dynasty because there's been no writing. But apparently the government here and the state science community, they are now associating the early Zhou culture here. You see here, the early Zhou culture, they're saying that that's the Xia Dynasty. They're saying that the early Zhou culture and the early Zhou site, which I know is a very early Chinese tribal civilization, they're saying that that's actually the Xia Dynasty. So the only way to confirm that for sure is if we find writing. But here in this hall is where you're starting to see bronze. You're going to start to see bronze pieces here. And look at this. This is going to be how an imperial structure, a temple, looks like during that time period. You see that very simple. The roofs aren't even made out of tile. They're actually made out of straw. But you can clearly see walls, shapes, halls. Earliest known organized buildings in China. And as you start here, you can see that most pieces are still made out of pottery, which, again, if you look, prone to shatter. They had to be glued back and carefully put back together. And if they're missing pieces, they've had to have pieces made specifically for it. But here it is. The second piece on our list. The early Shang Dynasty bronze ding. So now we're no longer in pottery territory, guys. Now we're firmly in the bronze territory. We're now in the early Bronze Age. This is, look at what it says here. early Shang Dynasty, 1600 to 1300 BC. So that's like 3300 to 3600 years ago. Think about that. This is a very early Shang Dynasty piece, the second item on our list that we found. Check this out. And as I'm reading here, it says that this ding was used for a couple of different things. Number one, for cooking meat, for presenting sacrifices, and for holding food at banquets. It was actually unearthed here right here in this city, in Zhengzhou. Wow. So this piece here, 3,300 to 3,600 years ago, they made this, and I don't see any evidence of writing. Usually in a ding, if you have any writing, it'll be carved into the inner walls. But I don't see any writing here on any of the walls. Beautiful. Second piece on our list. We found it. Early Shang Dynasty bronze ding. This is absolutely amazing. And look at the shape of this. Look at how evenly made this is. Like I'm trying to tilt this flat. Y'all see this? I don't see any crookedness. I don't see any. Look at that. Look at the design on this thing. Zoom in here. Y'all see that? Unbelievable. They made this 3,300 years ago. Look at this. That's incredible. That is just incredible. Look at this, guys. I'm still in exhibit hall number 2. And here, do you remember that turtle shell that we saw earlier? Well, these are also oracle bones, but instead of just random symbols, look at that. Early Chinese writing. These are the famous oracle bone inscriptions. This is the beginning of Chinese writing. You can see more here. This is the precursor to modern Chinese writing. And as I look at all these symbols here, you look at everything that is running along the left side. You see this bone here? All the symbols are running along the left side. I can only recognize one symbol. Zhi. Can you see that? It's right there. Let me point to it. Oh, right there. Zhi. That's the only one that I can make out. That means day, as in the day of the week. So now we're making progress, right? You can see civilization is advancing further along. Instead of 9,000 years ago, just random signs and symbols that were meant to maybe denote an animal of a certain kind, now you're seeing actual written language. This is from the Shang Dynasty, excavated in 1973. Beautiful. Look at that. This is going to be the first of 4 pieces that you see here that were unearthed from the Ying ruins in 1976. This is from the female general Fu Hao. This is from her tomb. A famous female general from the Shang Dynasty. Her husband was the king. Look at this. Look at this animal here. Look at that. Her tomb was never robbed. The only Shang imperial tomb to never be robbed. The Chinese version of the Egyptian Tutankhamun. As you probably know, Tutankhamun is the only Egyptian pharaoh whose tomb was never robbed. His entire tomb was perfectly intact when the British archaeologist Howard Carter opened it. Now look at this piece here. Made out of bronze. Now this is what I was reading here. I was trying to understand. This is a standing beast where the rear, apparently it's supposed to resemble a bird, but I'm not seeing that. Actually, the rear is actually more like a cow or a pig. Right? Y'all see that? Do y'all see any bird elements here? Because I'm not seeing this. Where do you see a bird? Wow. And that's a lid. Y'all see that? That's a lid that can actually be opened. So this entire, y'all see this entire line that's running along there? This lid can be opened. This is a ceremonial vessel that her son put into her grave in the Ying ruins. Unbelievable. This is the third piece here. This is a wine vessel. Take a look at this. A wine vessel that was discovered also in Fu Hao's tomb. We're going into the Ying ruins in the coming episodes, and we're going to show you the place where they actually dug this up. It's about a 2-hour car ride. It's about a 2-hour car ride from where we are in Zhengzhou. We're going to spend an entire day there and visit the oldest Shang Dynasty tomb that was ever discovered, fully intact. Beautiful. This is the third piece, and this is the last one. Also from her tomb, this is another wine vessel, and this one actually has inscriptions. I'm trying to see where the inscriptions are. And again, this would be very early Chinese writing. So even to an educated Chinese person, they may not be able to read these letters, these characters. I don't see where the inscription is, but look at the way this is made. Look at the base. This is incredible. And that's right there. Y'all see that? That's a handle. Also unearthed in 1976 when they opened her grave. Beautiful. This is incredible. To give you an idea of what these sites look like when they open it up, so you got all these pieces that are scattered here. This is probably a replica of her actual tomb. You can see there's some sacrificial animal bones there. You got some bronze dings here. I'm not sure if these are real or just reproduction pieces meant to illustrate to you, but this is what the archaeologists have to work through. They're digging through an entire grave, and you got pieces that are fallen over like this, and they have to sometimes piece it back together, fix it, and also clean it up. You can see that when it came out, it's covered in dirt. Now see that it's covered in dirt, and they got to clean it up without damaging the bronze. So again, something to remember here. You don't see anything here that's made out of iron, right? Everything here is made out of bronze. So we're still very much in the early to mid Bronze Age, and we haven't gotten to the Iron Age yet, right? You barely even see any jade here. So you're seeing pottery, oracle bones, and bronze. Beautiful. And these are some of the patterns that are found on these objects. So what they would do is they would use a piece of thin paper and they would rub it with black ink. Look at that, to produce these patterns. Beautiful. Beautiful. We're now going to exit hall number 2. I'm going to continue to make our way because there's just so much to see here. We found, let's do a recap here. We found the 2 items so far on our list. We found 2 items so far. The one piece that was from Fu Hao's tomb is actually on loan to the Shanghai Museum. So we're not going to be able to see that today. But when we go and visit the Shanghai Museum, we will be able to see it. It looks very, very similar to this, except it's much larger. Here are just some additional bronze pieces here. This is clearly a wine vessel here. Look at that. Look at that. I don't know. What does it say about early Chinese culture if so many pieces are related to alcohol? It just shows you the importance of alcohol to prehistoric antiquities, historical civilizations. Very, very important. We're going to head into hall number 3 now. We've exited hall number 2. This is the exit. We're going to go into hall number 3 and continue to find additional pieces from our list here. Let's go. We're standing at the entrance of hall number 3, Western Zhou Dynasty, immediately following the Shang Dynasty. And also, I gotta say, this place has gotten a lot quieter. The tour group seems to be out for lunch, and it's become much quieter. Very good introduction here. The founder of the Zhou, they overthrew the Shang Dynasty and unified a dynasty in the center of China. Now see this piece right here? This is very, very similar to what we just saw in hall number 2. And it's making me think that this mystical animal that you see here must have meant something very, very special to the Shang Dynasty and then the Zhou Dynasty people, especially the imperial family. So I'm trying to see what it looks like in terms of modern animal. I can't make it out. I mean, is it a rabbit? Is it a... Can y'all see this? Hey, look at this animal here. So I've seen, this is the second one I've seen. And then there's one more here. This is the third one here. Y'all see this? This animal here repeatedly comes up in different pieces, right? And I'm not sure what modern animal this is. Like from the front, it almost looks like, I don't know what it looks like. But it's got 2 ears. And then it's got 2 almost antenna-looking things that are popping out of its head. Y'all see this? And its eyes are very exaggerated. So this animal must have meant something very, very special to early Chinese people from the Shang and Zhou dynasties. Look at that. And this was unearthed in 1997, also in Henan province. And it's about 3,000 years old. This piece here is by far the most sophisticated bronze piece I've seen today so far in hall number 3. This is clearly a bird. Y'all see that? This is clearly a bird with a human figure in the back, as if this human is trying to reach across to open this lid. Look at this. Oh wow, and look at the hands. The purpose of this human, its hands are actually welded together along with, y'all see that? The joints? This is meant to serve as a stabilizer. So when they open this lid, it just doesn't fall off. Yo, this is... Yo, I'm speechless. This is 3,000 years old, guys. Like, this is unbelievable. Y'all can see the shape of this person. Look at the face. And I'm also looking at its hair. Is it a he or a she? Is that how they wore their hair during that particular time? This is from 3,000 years ago as well. You can see there are more pieces all along the wall. And what they do is they put the special pieces right in these center exhibit pieces. This is going to be piece number 3 from our list here. This is piece number 3 from 2,700 to 3,000 years ago. This is the oldest piece of man-made, man-shaped iron object in Chinese history. Take a look at this. Three parts here. Tip, made out of iron. This is why it looks the way it does today, because it has oxidized and rusted. Second part, a bronze blade. Third part. Oh, actually a bronze handle. Third part, a jade handle. So 3 parts, 3 pieces. And it says here, originally covered in silk. This is the first, earliest artificially cast iron object in Chinese history, this piece right here. That is incredible. I'm going to get it from a different angle here. So as you can see, the iron is in pretty bad shape. It's rusted such that, you know, if they didn't do forensic testing and you're just looking at surface cosmetically, you can't even tell this is iron. This just looks like a, well, this does actually look like rusted iron, but on the jade you could see there are pieces of jade that's sticking out from there. So this piece is actually integrated into the bronze handle. So you have iron here, you have bronze here, and then you have jade in the back, and jade is by far the most well-preserved part of this entire sword. That's probably the same color that it was buried in. That's incredible. So this is going to be the third piece on our list. We found 3. We're missing 6. We confirmed that one of them is in the Shanghai Museum. So we're still looking for 5 more. Let's keep going. Before I exit hall number 3, I wanted to show y'all this. Y'all see this set of bells here? These are musical instruments. So what they would do is they would tap on these in order to make sound. Y'all see that? By the time we're in the Western Zhou Dynasty, Chinese writing has already not only been developed, you can already see here, look at this. They're running up and down in lines, up and down. So not only do you have clear characters, you also have structure in terms of how these characters are positioned. Look at this. Look at this. This is very early Chinese writing. I'm looking at this and I don't think I recognize a single word, but the shapes look very similar. Okay, maybe this one. This one right here looks exactly like the Chinese current word ji. Look at that. That's the only one I recognize out of all of this, and yet this is the precursor to modern Chinese writing. What an impressive set of bells. Oh, this is beautiful. We're going to now make our exit from hall number 3 and into hall number 4. Y'all, we're entering hall number 4, and right away, look at that. You'll see this gigantic bronze piece here. That's going to be the 4th item on our list. But before we get there, this is going to be the Eastern Zhou Dynasty, so the one that's following the Western Zhou Dynasty. I know east, west, west, east, north, south. You guys may be a little bit confused by all these terms are being thrown at you, but just know that these halls are actually going in chronological order. So we're getting closer and closer to present day as we're moving from one hall to the next. But this is hall number 4. This is hall number 4. This is from about 770 to 221 BC. So you're talking about 2700, 2800 to 2200 years ago. And this is going to be the first piece that awaits us. Boom. The 4th piece on our list. Look at this in all its glory. First of all, look at how large this is. Look at my arm. Y'all see my arm here? Like, this thing is longer not only than my arm, it's longer than my entire leg. If I had to estimate, this is at least 2.5, 3 feet tall. My God, what is this? Look at that. Look at that. All right, I'm ignoring the obvious of the bird there. I'm gonna save that for last, but look at this thing. This is so incredible. I gotta give y'all a good look first before I say anything else. Look at this. Y'all see this? Are y'all seeing this? Oh my God. All right, this is from 770 to 476 BC. So this is about 2,800 to 2,500 years ago from the spring and autumn period, which is right after the Western Zhou period. And this is when China was kind of being divided up in multiple different little kingdoms and tribes and what's the word? Kingdoms is a good one. It's like they're all fighting for power and they're all trying to be, they're trying to take territory from the other is trying to take territory from this place, constantly fighting. So this period is called the spring and autumn period, and there's also a period called the warring states period. And listen to those two words, warring states period. So what do you think happened a lot? A lot of wars, a lot of factionalism. States were constantly fighting each other. But look at this. This is again made entirely out of bronze. Look at the level of detail. Look at this bird. So again, second time today that I'm seeing the crane. So this bird must have meant something to the early Chinese people because it continues to show up as an auspicious object, right? Like, would you put an object that you think is not lucky or ugly or not good looking, would you put that and spend all this effort and put that on your vessel? Put that on something you're going to have forever? Would you do that? So obviously this bird meant something to the people of that time. So important that it takes top position. Y'all see that? This is on the lid. This is the top position. And this again is a wine vessel. Excavated very early. This is from a tomb. This is in 1923. This is incredible. So another thing that I'm thinking about all day today is just the number of items that are found devoted to wine. What is it with the people of that time and their affection for wine? Why is alcohol such an important part of their culture, such that so many of their burial items are related to alcohol? Does anyone know the answer to this? Look at this piece right here. This is a piece of paper I brought with me to help me study. Look at this. This thing is at least 3 of these. Easily 3 feet tall, guys. This is so incredible. So again, we found the 4th object from our list. This wine vessel with a standing crane on top. Let's continue to make our way deeper into exhibit number 4. Here is another bronze ding here. Even though this is not on our list, I wanted to zoom in here to show you the level of craftsmanship. This is not iron, guys. This is made out of bronze. Look at these joints and the way these parts are made that fit this ding perfectly. Y'all see that? I don't even see any crevices here. Look at that. This is totally incredible. This is so incredible. So I know this is not an item on our list, but I just wanted to show you the level of craftsmanship on this piece. This should be a cooking vessel. Yes, indeed. It says this here is a cooking vessel. So this is how many people were they cooking for? This thing could easily cook for 20, 30 people. Wow. All right, we're going to continue to move forward. Here's another ding here. Here's another very, very well-made piece here. Absolutely beautiful. This is what I was talking about earlier, right? You remember we're at the Neolithic Age, hall number 1, exhibit hall number 1. You don't even have bronze yet. You only have pottery, which is just glorified word for mud. Okay, you got mud and pottery. And now you have early bronze pieces starting in hall number 2. And now look at the level of sophistication that we've reached by the time we get to hall number 4. Look at this. Look at this. What in the world is this? This is a bronze lamp shaped of kneeling person. What in the world? Look at this. This is a lamp, guys. You look at this level of sophistication. This is a guy. Or is it a man or a woman? I'm not entirely sure, but if you look at this, look at the hairstyle. What in the world? This is incredible. This is incredible. So, as I'm sorry, this piece is distracting my train of thought here. I mean, just like you look at the level of sophistication, increasingly sophisticated bronze pieces, more and more special pieces. Look at that. Wow. All right. We're going to make our exit from number 4. Remember I said this museum is so well designed. Directly ahead of me, hall number 1. So what I did is I went in to hall number 1 and I did a complete loop. And now I'm back out at hall number 4. So I'm going to make my way upstairs now. I'm saying goodbye to the Eastern Zhou Dynasty, hall number 4. And I'm going to make my way up the stairs to go to hall number 5. Follow me. Alright, I've reached upstairs. I'm now standing in front of 5, 6, 7, and 8. This is the second floor. And we are approaching the climax, guys. We're about to see the gold tablet of Emperor Wu Zetian, the only female emperor of China. Yo, like I can't even express this. Like I'm trying to be quiet here because it's a museum. I'm not trying to be shouting. I'm trying to disturb other people, but we're about to see a piece of solid gold tablet. Oh my God, associated with the only female emperor in Chinese history. Hall number 5. Let's go in. What in the world? This is a burial suit made entirely out of jade, guys. This is from the Western Han Dynasty, also excavated here in Henan province. It's from a Han Dynasty tomb. So what they would do is they would place the body inside and they would fully wrap it in jade. Look at this. Even the nose. Look at that. I don't even know what to say, guys. Like, I've never seen anything like this before. I've been to many museums in China. Look at the way these pieces are welded, not even welded, tied together individually. Look at the tiny holes that have to be drilled on each of the 4 corners. They don't have power tools back then. You can't even drill these things, so you have to... Look at this. Look at... Every individual piece is green jade. I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say. Here you go. Green, jade, burial suit, Western Han Dynasty. Unbelievable. Alright, I wanted to mention something to you guys here because on the second floor we're going to see that gold tablet, but here you're going to see, you're starting to see some gilt bronze. So this is not gold. This is bronze. You can see, look at that. You can see the base color is bronze, but they've gilded it. It looks gold, but it's not gold. But this is the first time since I've been in this museum that I am seeing gold colored things. So everything before looked kind of green, dark green. But now, look at that. You're starting to see additional gold, gilt, bronze things. Look at that. That's because we're moving into the Han Dynasty. we're moving into the Han Dynasty, and the level of sophistication and the technology is getting better and better. And if you look at this piece right here, this is a very small piece. It's smaller than my hand, but you can see they're able to make shapes, and this time as a cow, and they're able to make it onto smaller objects. That just shows you the level of craftsmanship is getting better and better. So where they used to have to make things onto big ticket items, like a ding would be the size of this, like half of this, but now they're able to get the same level of detail and the same level of sophistication onto smaller objects like this, and they're able to gilt it in gold color. That just shows you the level of improvement that we're seeing in craftsmanship. It's absolutely incredible. And now if you look at the writing here, remember earlier we saw some writing, they were running up and down. Now these things are really organized. Not only is it running up and down, it's running up and down. Look at the size of this. Look at the size of this, guys. And I'm starting to recognize more and more of these letters up here. I'm starting to recognize more and more of these letters up here, and it's running in order. Look at that. So the level of sophistication is definitely improving. Wow, and this one right here, especially here, I can recognize a ton of words here. And this is from the Han Dynasty. This is from the Han Dynasty. So you can see more and more words are being able to be recognized. Look at that. Unbelievable. And as you move towards the end of this hall, you can see here, this is no longer gilt bronze. This is solid gold. Look at that. This is actually gold currency as well. So you can see, real gold doesn't even glisten the same way. Look at that. Look at the shine. So for the first time today, we're in hall number 5. We're seeing solid gold objects from the Han Dynasty. Big change. Big change in material. Bronze, iron, now gold. Beautiful. If I had to guess purity, at least 90% pure. I don't think the refinery technology can get to 24 karat 99% pure, but it's darn close. At least 90, maybe 95% pure gold. Look at the way that color is glistening. Oh, it's so incredible. We're now entering hall number 6 on the 2nd floor, and I like what they're doing here. They've kind of combined a really long and really turbulent time period in Chinese history all into one room here. And you're going to see a lot of pieces. You're going to see the Qing Dynasty. So that's the first emperor of China who united all of China, Qing Shi Huang. He is the Qing, but the Qing was very short-lived, and that led into the Han Dynasty, one of the greatest dynasties in Chinese history. And then look at what they're doing here. They're kind of combining the Wei, the Qing, and all these northern and southern dynasties together, because this, once again, united China, still united, divided again. Keep that in mind. United, divided again. And actually, the Wei, the Beiwei, the northern Wei, they were actually ruled by a Xianbei people, which is today considered an ethnic minority in the big Chinese family. So you got to remember, in China there are over 50 different ethnic groups. And this dynasty here was a regional dynasty. These were national dynasties that had huge swaths of land. This one only controlled a small portion of land in northern China. So this is very exciting. They kind of combined at least 200-300 years, if not more, 400 years of history into one room here. Very efficient. Yes, you can see the Qing and Han, as I mentioned earlier, were a period of national unification and strong national power. And this is going to be the first time today, as I enter into hall number 6, where you're starting to see the word unification and national. This is when you start to have a concept of China as a country, as a civilization, right? Because you're now expanding your territory to the western regions through the Silk Road, and your territory is expanding. Alright, y'all, I wanted to make a brief stop here. I know we've only gotten to 4 out of the 9 items on our list, but I had to stop here. This is so exciting. This is actually a tombstone with an epitaph on it, okay? But this is about 1500, roughly 1500 years ago. By this time, Chinese language is fully developed. I can read this whole thing. I could read this entire thing, every single word on it. First letter, Bei Wei. Wei, that's the Northern Wei Dynasty. That's the first letter, Wei. I could read everything on here. And this now, you can see you're reading it up and down, up and down, up and down, and you're reading it from right to left. Every single word looks like modern Chinese. This is so incredible. This is so incredible. So again, look at where we began our day. We began our day with a couple of symbols. And I know I called them random symbols earlier. That's not a good way. That's not a respectful way to say it, because it meant something to those people that actually carved it into that tortoise shell 9,000 years ago. So it's not random to them, but to us it's indecipherable. But by now, look at where we are now. You started with a symbol on a turtle bone, and look at where you are now. Modern Chinese writing. Look at the way this is written, how straight this is carved. Look at this. I don't even know what to say. I can recognize most of the words here. 90% of the words I can recognize. And it's almost identical to modern Chinese writing. In a span of, we're talking about 1,500 years from when you first saw oracle bone writing. In 1,500 years, we have moved to modern Chinese writing. And then for the next 1,500 years, it stays this way. This is so incredible. This is such a good piece of writing. And it's not just writing, guys. If I zoom in here on some of these words, it's the calligraphy. This level of writing, it's beautiful. It's not just random words. You know how we have different fonts? Like we got Calibri, we got Times New Roman. Like this font here, the way they wrote this is Chinese calligraphy at its finest. Look at this. Look at this. This is 1,500 years old. This is 1,500 years old, guys. This is incredible. This is incredible. And you got additional shapes. Wow. Alright, y'all, we are about to reach the climax of today. We are about to see the most important piece housed here in the Henan Provincial Museum. No more waiting, guys. We're now at the Sui and Tang Dynasty. So this immediately follows everything we just saw in room number 6. The Qing, the Han, the Wei, the Jing, all those northern or southern dynasties becomes the Sui and the Tang. The Sui was very short-lived. Sui dynasty, barely 37 years, not even 40 years in length, but it paved the way for the great Tang dynasty. And this is how you know the Tang dynasty is great. One room is not even enough. They need 2 rooms. I can't wait. We're about to see the gold tablet. It could appear in front of us at any time. Oh my God. There it is. Y'all see that? Yo. There it is. The gold tablet of Wu Zetian. Oh my God. I gotta walk slowly. This is one of the most famous pieces of artifacts in Chinese history. What you're looking at right now on our list is one of the most famous pieces of artifacts in Chinese history. I'm going to repeat this for a 3rd time. This is one of the most famous pieces in Chinese history. This piece of gold right here, I'm trying to see, okay, look, it has a Wei right here. So first, before we look at it even more, let's look at this description here. 223.5 grams, 90% purity. It's got 63 characters inscribed on it. I have been waiting years to come to the Henan Provincial Museum to see this. This is the back of it. Now I'm going to explain to you guys exactly what this is, what it's meant to do, and what it says. Alright, so a little bit of a backstory. This was found by a farmer. If you look back a couple of episodes at our second part series where we visited Mount Song, Songshan, one of the 5 great mountains of China, one of the 5 greatest mountains of China, I told a story about how the farmer found this. A farmer was ascending Zhengzhou, which is one of the 72 peaks of Song Mountain, and he found this in the crack of stones. You're at a mountain, he found this in a crack of stones, and then immediately a smuggler found out about this. A local smuggler came to his home and offered him 1,000 yuan for this. So he discovered it, and you gotta understand, when he discovered it, it was dirty. It didn't look like this. Okay, when he discovered it, it was dirty. And what he did was, instead of selling it to this person who likely would have smuggled it overseas, he turned it into the authorities. He turned it into the government, into a local historian, a local official who immediately recognized what this was, because Wu Zetian's capital was very near to where this was found. So on this tablet, we got 63 characters. The entire thing weighs 223 grams. And I'm not going to read out every single word here, but basically what it's saying is that Empress Wu Zetian is asking, she was Buddhist, so she was asking the heavens, whichever Buddha she was praying to, she was asking for forgiveness, because on the way to her getting power, there was a lot of cruelty. So a lot of people apparently were killed and lost their lives, and she's asking the heavens for forgiveness. Her first name Wu appears twice on here. I see it. If you look at the middle row, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. If you look at the middle row, this is the first letter in her name. Wu. So that's the first time I see it. And then it's going to appear again a second time here on the far right row. Y'all see that on the far right row? Oh, I'm trying to get a better angle of it. On the far right row, somewhere along here, it's going to appear a second time. That is her last name. Her full name was Wu Zetian. So here, it doesn't say her full name, but we know who it's referring to. It's referring to the only female emperor of China. And she's asking the heavens to forgive her. And why did she have this thing put in the Song Mountain? Well, that's where she prayed. She actually personally made a number of trips to the peak of Song Mountain, and she went there, and she knows it's a place of deity. She knows it's a place associated with the Holy Spirit. So she asks one of her envoys to place this gold slip, this gold tablet, inside one of the edges of that mountain. And it was found by the farmer in the 70s, I believe. Oh, it was actually in 1982 when it was discovered in the Junji Peak, on the northern side of the Junji Peak. And thank God he turned it into the authorities. He was given a small reward and a big ceremony for preserving a national treasure. This is one of the greatest pieces of national treasures you'll ever see. So also, a little bit of fun fact here. This is the only piece in Chinese history ever discovered, a piece of movable object, a movable artifact that's directly related to the Emperor Wu Zetian. Everything else is a statue, a monument, a tomb, which hasn't been opened. So you're looking at the only object in Chinese history ever found related to the first female and the only female emperor in Chinese history. I know I said earlier, remember I said earlier, Fu Hao from Shang Dynasty? Well, she wasn't an emperor, she was just a general. Her husband was the king. Her husband was the king, and you notice that I don't even use the word emperor to describe her husband. Why is that? Because her husband presided over the Shang Dynasty, and they didn't have the concept of emperors back then. They were just a regional kingdom, so her husband was just a king. And there's more people gathering around me. I think as I'm standing here explaining it, they're realizing the significance of this. So this is either the 5th or the 6th object on our list. I'm starting to lose track here, but this is so incredible. This is so incredible. If I had to estimate the thickness, it's not very thick. Maybe a little bit more than a human hair. Look at the back of it. So there's no writing on the back. It's just additional writing it's just writing from the front that's kind of been carved, and it's reflecting on the back, but there's no additional writing on the back. 90% purity. Think about how difficult that is to accomplish at that time. 90% purity on this gold piece. This is what we came here for, guys. This piece right here is what we came for. Thank God this has not been loaned to another museum and I'm able to see it today. I hope y'all enjoyed this. We're gonna keep moving forward in hall number 7 on the second floor. One of the reasons I came to Zhengzhou, and I'm living in a hotel here, I flew my butt all the way out here, is to come to this museum and to see that gold piece up in person. I'm trying to collect my thoughts here a little bit. I'm just wandering randomly, just trying to collect my thoughts, because that was one of the most incredible pieces of artifacts I've ever seen in Chinese history. Like, I want you guys to believe me when I say I've been to a whole lot of Chinese museums, and I'll go to a few of them again to show you more pieces, show you some amazing pieces that I've seen before that I think deserves to be seen. So hit that subscribe button. But anyway, I'm just trying to gather my thoughts here, guys. Like, you gotta understand, the first empress of China, the first female emperor of China, her tomb has never been opened. It's about 2 hours away from Xi'an. It's called Qianling. Her tomb has never been opened, so you don't have any funeral objects from her tomb that you could put on a display in a museum. And I also read the sign again. It says she was actually a devout Taoist, so I have to take that back. One, she paid to have the Buddha made at the Longmen Grottos, so I was under the impression that she was a devout Buddhist. But in reality, it turns out she was a devout Taoist, and yet she was tolerant enough where she said, I'm going to give some money to the Buddhist temples, and we're going to get Longmen Grottos built. We're going to get a Buddha statue built. So she was extremely generous from that perspective. Usually, it's hard to say, I believe in one religion, but I'm going to donate to another religion and support that one. So it just shows you how tolerant she was as an empress. But that piece, I'm trying to collect my thoughts, guys. Like, y'all see me, I'm just wandering aimlessly in this hall number 7 as I approach the end of the first part of the Tang Dynasty. Like, they have this concept called the Michelin restaurants, where 1 star, 2 star, 3 star. And what's the designation of the 3 star? The designation of 3 star is that you can fly to a city. You buy an airplane ticket, fly there just to eat there. That's how good it is. That's what it takes to get a 3-star Michelin designation. I think that artifact, in Michelin terms, is like 10 stars. You got to come here and see it for yourself. This is exhibit hall number 8. We're about to go in, and this is going to be the second part of the Sui and Tang dynasties. So you can see these 2 really important dynasties, especially the Tang, that they had to devote 2 different halls in order to house all the different objects that you saw inside, right? Super, super important to remember that. The Han and the Tang dynasty, 2 of the greatest dynasties in Chinese history. At this point, I'm still missing a couple of items. I know that one is on loan to the Shanghai Museum, so we may not be able to see it, but I should be able to find at least 1 or 2 more. So we're going to keep going. We're going to make our way through the Tang Dynasty. I'll show you some pieces here. But the key thing to understand is, notice this word right here. They no longer call it pottery. They call it porcelain. Porcelain. Beautiful. All right, so how you're going to define Tang Dynasty pieces is just how well made the items are. Now you're talking about not only making a shape, but look at this. Combination of different colors. Look at that. Realism. Look at how realistic this looks. Look at that. Pottery, porcelain. I don't know the difference. They all come out of mud that's been baked. But here, look at this piece. Look at these pieces here. Right, look at their facial expressions. They all look very fierce. They all look very serious. So they must be, look at that, this is a military officer. He should be looking fierce. Look at that. This guy's smiling. Look at him. So he's smiling a little bit. Hello. Look at that. This is the good cop. This is the bad cop. As I'm walking through hall number 8, I'm realizing, like, if you watch my videos before, like, I go through these points, these epiphanies, like where I'm somewhere and like these thoughts hit me, and I have an epiphany that this is one of the best museums that I've ever seen, not only in China, anywhere in the world. Henan Provincial Museum. This place has everything. All those pottery figures, those porcelain figures that you just saw, you would have to go to Shanghai Provincial Museum to see in Xi'an City, right? But here they have everything. They have Tang Dynasty, they have Sui Dynasty, they have Zhou Dynasty, Shang Dynasty. But they also have here things that the other places, the other museums do not have, right? Like if you look at Shanghai Museum, they barely have any Shang Dynasty pieces. Very, very few pieces. That's because the Shang Dynasty originated here in Henan. Now, I'm not putting down the Shanghai Provincial Museum by any means. We have a beautiful 2 episodes on that, right? But this museum is so incredible. It has everything. It has everything. Look at that. Y'all remember this? Y'all remember this? We saw this. Y'all remember that? The Great Pagoda of Fa Wang Temple. Look at that. That was the one we couldn't get close to. That was the one that was closed to the public. Y'all remember this? Beautiful. It was constructed in 71 AD. Wow. Wow. What is going on? Like, my head is spinning at all this knowledge. Y'all remember this? We flew our drone close to here because we couldn't get close by, and I had to fly very carefully because I didn't want to get too close to this building and accidentally damage it. But look at this. The backdrop that you see here, that's the Great Song Mountain. So I gotta plug a little bit here. Please go and watch our 2 episodes on the Song Mountain, this very mountain here. We went to the Shaolin Temple and we scaled the peak. We scaled the Zhengzhou peak. That gold tablet where it was found, we went there. We went to the very peak where it was found. Go watch those 2 episodes. Super, super exciting. I gotta plug again. Y'all look at this. This is Loman Grottos. Please check out our episode on the Loman Grottos. We were here. We took y'all here. We spent a long time standing where these guys are. Look at that. This person seems to be getting her wedding photo taken. Look at that. Y'all see that? She's getting her wedding photo taken here. That's awesome. That's so awesome. So we have an episode devoted to the Loman Grottos. Our entire day spent there. Oh, this is so incredible. All right, so we're reaching the end of hall number 8. We got to climb the stairs again to go to hall number 9, 10, 11, and 12. We're probably not going to see everything because I went into 12 before and there wasn't much in there. It was just a number of pictures on the wall. So we're going to continue to make our way up and find the remaining few pieces that's still left from our list. Let's go. This is hall number 9. Something to remember here, if you remember the structure that we saw when we were outside this museum, the building slopes upwards like this. It's almost like a pyramid. So as we make it further and further up, all these spaces that you see here is going to get smaller, less and less square footage. But now we're at the Song, Qing, and Yuan dynasty. Now they're combining multiple dynasties into one room. The Song, the Qing, and the Yuan dynasties. Look at that. Y'all, look at this. I thought this was a super clear illustration of what a Song Dynasty city planning looked like. You got outer wall to protect the city that you're in, and then you have the inner wall. Y'all see that? Y'all see that perfect square shaped? This is the inner imperial palace. So you got 2 layers of protection, and you have multiple towers. You have one in the back, you have one here, and they have water that's running through the city in multiple different directions, so people have access to water. Look at this. This is so well designed. This is so well designed. So it's probably running, I think this is north, south, east. This is west, that's east. And the main door should be facing south. There's another city gate right here. Look at that. I do have a question here. Why do we think the imperial walls are a perfect square, but the outer wall is a bit slanted? Y'all see that? This is a little bit slanted right here. We're being slanted at about a 5-degree angle here. Why do we think that is? But the inner wall is a perfect square. Let's move on. As I enter into hall number 10, I can already see it. I can already see the other item on our list is right there. I can already see it. But before we go, let's hold our horses. Y'all see this? Boom. The Song, Qing, and the Yuan dynasties, the golden age of Chinese pottery and porcelain art. Notice this word. This is what it is. This is really art. Beautiful. So I did want to talk a little bit about the roux. This one right here and why it's so important. So the actual roux, and this word, I don't know how to pronounce it, but is it cleanse? Basically, these were the workshops where these official styles of porcelain were made. Of all of these, this one is the rarest, the roux. They were only made for about 20 or 30 years, right here in Henan where we're standing, and they were exclusively for the use of the imperial family. So normal people, no matter how wealthy you are by doing business, you couldn't get your hands on it. Today, only a handful of these still exist on this earth, many of which are in China, some of which are in Chinese Taiwan, some of them are in the United States, some of them are in England, some of them are in France, Germany, but if we add them all together, fewer than 200 pieces survive. We're about to see one of the only intact, largest ones ever found in Henan province. I just had to make sure y'all understood how rare this is before we see it. This is also on our list. This is also on our list. Let's go see it. This may look just like a small vase, guys. This is one of the rarest pieces of porcelains on this planet Earth. Yes, I am not even exaggerating. Go and Google this. Roux, R-U, porcelain. Please Google it. Now, there are a few pieces that are actually in the Nelson Atkins Museum in Kansas City, I believe. When I was driving across the country one time, I stopped by Kansas City for a few days, and I thought I recalled seeing something like this, but basically, roux style porcelain has a color like this. Light blue, baby blue, Tar Heel blue. You see this color right here? Baby blue color. Why is this one so unique? It's not that large. It's from the Northern Song Dynasty. Very hard to make this color. Very hard to bake this color. And you look at the way this is shaped. This is so incredible. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Those are not imperfections. Those are on purpose. These are patterns that are designed on purpose. These are flower petals. Look at this angle right here. These are flower petals. In all of China, including Taiwan, there are likely fewer than 50 or 60 of these pieces in existence. Some of them have damage. Some of them have a piece chipped off and they've had to be restored. Some of them are missing a part here or there. This one is completely intact, never broken, never had to be restored. This is unbelievable. Now, I do want to say this. Before I came here, so again, this marks item number 6 or 7 on our list. Before I came here, I actually did some research because I knew I was going to see this today. And they don't list this one in the Wikipedia page. Someone should go update that. Come to Henan province, come to the Henan Provincial Museum and see this piece for yourself. I believe this is the first time in my life I've ever seen this. I'm totally serious. I've been to the Taipei Palace Museum in 2019. But I was a bit of a moron back then, so I didn't really know much. Still not that bright today, but so I went there. I may have glazed past it and I just thought, here's just another piece of blue porcelain. What's so special about it? But today, I've done my research and I'm here to show you guys one of the rarest pieces of artifacts in the entire porcelain world. But seriously, guys, if you think I'm making this up, Google it. Google Ru porcelain, R-U porcelain, and look at the auction prices for some of the pieces I have sold. Tens of millions of dollars for a single piece. This one right here, it'll never go for auction because it's the property of the government. This one is priceless. Look at on the top here. Y'all see that pattern that's inside the top? I can't even describe it. It almost feels like if you're looking at a green leaf under a microscope and you can see little patches in that green leaf. That's what it looks like. Or another example, you take an egg, a hard-boiled egg, and you throw it on the ground. Look at the way the shell shatters. That's the pattern that I'm seeing here. Look at this. This is absolutely incredible, and this marks off another item on our list. As I move my way through this room, now you see all these are sky blue, tar heel blue color porcelain that you see here, but they're not from the Ru clan. So that's the only one you're going to see in this museum. If you're living in the United States, please go to the museums that have them. Go and check them out. Go and enjoy them. That's one of the few things that you could see in its entirety without having to come to China. Enjoy it, appreciate it. Even Chinese people have to fly overseas to see them because a few pieces were, not only a few, many pieces of the 200 or 300 that are still alive and found today made their way overseas. So you may have to actually go overseas to enjoy them if you're living in China. Such is life. So this room, again, not that big, not that large, different pieces here. Oh, this is really neat. So you look here, they have a machine, and this LCD screen is showing you the detail from here. Same thing here. Look at that. I don't know what this is supposed to be of. This looks like fiber. Oh, I understand why. That's because this thing has been placed incorrectly. That is pointing at the cloth that's underneath when it should be pointing at these two pieces. But still super cool nonetheless. Again, this room is not that big. I'm pretty sure we're approaching the exit now. Yep, here it is. So not that large of a room, maybe 2,000 square feet. We're now making it out of room number 10 and we're going to go into room number 11. And room number 11 is going to be the Ming and Qing periods. And there's a reason why it's all the way up on the 3rd floor and such a small room, because by the time we get to the Ming and the Qing periods, the Chinese political center has already moved to Beijing. Keep that in mind. The capital is no longer in Luoyang or Kaifeng or in Henan province. It's already moved to Beijing. So not many things are going to be found here directly related to the core political center, the imperial center of China at that time. So this is why the room here is quite small. Which makes sense, right? Like, you want to showcase your best. You want to showcase your best. And your best, if you're Henan, is you're known as the founding place of the Chinese civilization. So of course, most of your things are going to be about early Chinese history. The Zhou, the Shang, the Han, the Tang, right? That makes sense. So I'm not expecting to see much in here. A lot of porcelain, different porcelain pieces, beautiful porcelain pieces from Ming and Qing Dynasty. Very large iron cow here, oxen. That's neat. And we're going. See, that guy just told me to wear my mask. And you're going to see a building here. Looks very similar to Han Dynasty building here. Look at that. This is from the Ming Dynasty and it's unearthed from a tomb. So the Ming and the Qing were the last two imperial dynasties in Chinese history. The Qing dynasty ended in the early 1900s, early 20th century. You see, this room is not that big. I've already made my way to the exit. There's only one hall left, and that's the one I called Hall Number 12, the Hall of National Treasures. When I first came into this museum, I actually ran all the way up to Hall Number 12 because I thought that's where they kept all the treasures. You know what? I'm going to find all 9 items in one room. And now, as we're walking in to Hall Number 12, you're going to see that's not the case. A lot of photos on the walls. This entire place is this big. This is the size of the entire place. Photos on the wall, very educational material. Very nice educational material you see on the wall, an LCD screen, but very few artifacts here. The majority of the artifacts, you're going to see it on Hall Number 1 through 8. And remember, we found a couple of items in number 10 and 9, but most of the things are on the first 2 floors. Look, that's what I meant earlier when I said it almost looked like cartoons, but these are very fancy drawings from ancient China. Some of them are either painted onto temple walls. Yeah, most of these are painted onto temple walls, Buddhist temple walls, beautifully colored, very beautiful. And that's the end of Hall Number 12. So we've reached the end. We reached the end of Henan Provincial Museum, first 3 floors. There should be a couple of temporary exhibit halls. We're going to see if there's anything else. Look outside. Look at that. I'm literally standing at the top of this pyramid, looking outside at Zhengzhou City. How neat is this? Look at this. Oh, what an incredible day. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Oh, what a day. What a day. I've made my way up to the 4th floor into Hall Number 13. You see, I got confused. You can see here, this is the last item that was missing on our list. I've been looking everywhere for it. I actually went down to the 1st floor because I thought, if this is from the spring and autumn period, then it must be on the 1st floor, right? Talked to one of the employees. Turns out they moved it up here into one of these special halls, but we found it. But before we come back here, Hall Number 13 is a special exhibit. This is going to be the bronze art of the Zhou state in the Central Plain. Spring and autumn period, the Zhou, notice this word right here. This is a great word. State. Notice they don't use the word dynasty. Notice they don't use the word empire, because it's just a Zhou, it's just a state. It's one of the states that was just fighting for control. Neighboring states, take some land, give up some land, take up some land. Just constantly give and take during the spring and autumn period, Warring States period, a very, very tumultuous part of Chinese history. This piece right here, from the spring and autumn period, so this is very, very old. 2,800 to 2,500 years old. We don't exactly know how old it is, but look at the way this is organized. Look at this structure. Look at this structure. I count 1, 2, 3, 4 on the sides, and then 8 more of these things here. What is it? What is their purpose? I believe their purpose is to hold this lid in place. So I see 12 of these on top, and then on the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, another 12. Oh, yes, another 12 on the bottom. And I can't even describe to you what these things I don't even know what these things are. They look like a dragon or some type of a serpent beast with a very exaggerated tongue and something sticking out of its head. It almost looks like, I don't even know what this is. I mean, this is, again, a very mystical beast. But all of this is a table for wine vessels. So again, okay, so I see what's going on here. They put the wine vessels on top of this. And these things right here are likely to prevent it from falling over. Keep it from falling over the edge. Item number 7 from our list of 9 national treasures. This is on the 2003 initial list of national artifacts not allowed to be shown or leave the country. Gotta stay here in China. So this thing will probably get loaned out to other famous museums, national provincial museums, or Shanghai Museum, something like that, but it'll never leave the country. This is the only place in the world where you can see it. You gotta come to China to see it. This is so incredible. Look at the artwork here. This is all made out of bronze. Look at the detail. I'm at a loss for words. I mean, let's be very real with ourselves. If you owned a table like this in your home, and this was your coffee table, and your guests came over today, they will pay you compliments. Now, even by modern standards, this is incredible. Imagine someone made this 2,800 years ago. Look at this. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. And what I find even more incredible about it is that it's perfectly flat. By 2,800 years ago, they had mastered the art of uniformity. They mastered how to make perfect shapes. This is a perfectly flat shape. Look at this. Y'all see this? What is going on here? I'm at a loss for words. Let's take one more look at this. This is exhibit hall number 13. We've been through 13 halls today, y'all. And this is not going to be a big hall because, look at this. This is the ceiling. We're at the ceiling of the entire building. We can't get any higher in this building. The only way to get higher, we end up on the roof. This is as high as we can go. Another unbelievable building. Another unbelievable thing. Not a building. Look at this. Look at this. This is also from the spring and autumn period, 2,800 years ago. This is incredible. It's exhibit hall number 13. I just talked to one of the security guards here. Remember, we're missing 2 items. One is that burial object from the tomb of the Shang female general Fu Hao. That one is missing because it's in the Shanghai Museum. We're also missing this last piece, which is a huge piece of cloth from the Han Dynasty. I've been looking everywhere for it. I talked to the security guard. He tells me it's in number 5. It's in exhibit number 5. So we'll have to make it down to the 2nd floor. We're approaching the end of the last hall. We're about to enter the last hall, and then we're going to go to hall number 5 and see if we can't find this 8th and final piece today. We will have collected them all. Look at this. Incredible. Look at this final piece here. Look at this. Look at this. This is from 1990, unearthed in 1990, also from the spring and autumn period, 2,800 years old. Look at this. Incredible. We're now going to make it into hall number 14. This is going to be the last new hall today that we haven't seen. And this is treasures from the Qing and Ming dynasties. So by the time you get to the Qing and Ming dynasties, they're not really all about the bronze and the pot. They're not about the bronze anymore. So they were big fans of porcelain. Porcelain. This is porcelain, all kinds of different shapes. Look at these colors, right? So you could say, well, that's baby blue, that's Tar Heel blue. I thought you said that's the only one. I thought there was only one available. Yes, because that one is about 1,800 years earlier than these. That's why that one is so valuable, and it was only made for 20 years. Look at these porcelain sets. Like, I would be honored if I was served tea in one of these. Now imagine, this is from 500 years ago, 300 years ago. What kind of people were using them? Probably aristocrats, wealthy families, imperial families. Many of these pieces were made specifically for the emperor. Look at this. Look at this, y'all. This is incredible. Like I said, over 130,000 pieces under the management of the Henan Provincial Museum. They probably exhibit 5,000 to 6,000 at a time. If we saw every piece, this video will be 10 hours long. Not even 5 hours, it'll be 10 hours long. Whew. Ooh, I really like this. So I've seen this before. If you guys go to the Met in New York City, the Metropolitan Museum, they got a very large collection of this. They have a very large collection of this. So these are lacquered wood. So this is made out of wood. You may not be able to see it, but this is made out of wood. The base material is wood. And what they do is they carve and they lacquer it red. And they make all kinds of different boxes. And look at this, this is a smaller box. They can make jewelry boxes, all kinds of different things. Here's one more. So if you want to see it, you can come to Henan. Obviously, there's different pieces all throughout Chinese museums, but you could just make it to New York City and go to the Met and see some incredible collections there. All right, y'all. Do y'all remember earlier we spent some time here looking at this jade piece? Y'all ever heard of this saying, it's right in front of you, but you don't see it? That's what happened. You see, we spent a bunch of time here looking at this burial jade suit. See, I was speechless. Remember, I didn't even know what to say. And then I kept walking, and I missed the national treasure. It was right on my right here. Look at all these people gathered here. This is the piece. This is the piece that we missed. We just walked right by it. We walked right by it, didn't even see it. So, clarification, this is piece number 8 on our list. Not bad for today, right? We came here looking for 9. We saw 8. One of them on loan, but we found 8. So I first thought this must be a painting of some kind. This must be on cloth. Incorrect. This is actually mural painting from a tomb chamber, and it's actually on the ceiling. Let me see if I can go to find the word ceiling somewhere. I can't, but it's on the ceiling. How do I know that? Because of here. Y'all see this? This is the actual work that they were carrying out. So what they did is, in order to protect the ceiling here, they removed it piece by piece and they moved it here. Now you say, why did they do that? Why did they rip this mural off of the tomb wall? That's because look at the shape this is in. Look at the shape this is in. In another 10, 20 years, this painting would have been all gone. Moisture damage, oxygen damage. Look at the way it's preserved now. Behind glass, completely sealed off, with all these different monitors here to help protect this. So, I'm going to explain exactly what this is. This is from a Han Dynasty tomb, and this is a tomb mural. So keep that in mind. You know how in Egypt, in Egyptian tombs, pharaohs' tombs, they have tomb murals. Same thing here for the Han Dynasty. And what's unique about it, if you come here and check this out, earliest, notice this word earliest, and best preserved mural painting ever discovered in China. Their words, not mine, guys. Earliest and best preserved mural painting ever discovered in China. What you're seeing right here. What you're seeing here is a meeting of 4 supernatural beings. Dragons. Y'all see that? That looks like a dragon. That looks like a tiger down there. Y'all see that? That looks like a tiger. That looks like a dragon. That looks like another dragon. This is definitely a dragon. Can y'all see its eyes and its mouth? Look at that. This is so incredible. 4 of these supernatural mystical beings, these animals, are meeting together. You see, why this looks like a tiger, but this is clearly not a tiger. Why is it mystical? Because it's got two horns sticking out of its head. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? And these horns aren't even horns, they're flower petals. What is going on here? I don't even know what is going on here, but they're surrounded by clouds. Y'all see that? All around the edges. Clouds. 4 mystical animals surrounded by clouds. You're looking at the oldest and the most well-preserved tomb painting, tomb mural in the history of China. This predates anything that you're going to see in the Shanxi Provincial Museum that you have to pay 270 yuan to get into that special exhibit hall, $40 to get in. You see it here for free at Henan Provincial Museum. Now, I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just telling you the value proposition here. I'm not getting paid to advertise for this museum. I'm just admiring how much I'm able to see today, all for free. The admission ticket, 0. This is mind-blowing. If I had to measure, if I had to estimate, this is probably 12 feet tall. The width, probably another 18 feet. So at least 3 of me, 12 feet tall, 18 feet long. Think about that. That's how large this was. And this is on the ceiling of I think this should have been the burial chamber room. It doesn't say exactly which room of the tomb it was, but it should have been the main burial chamber room. So that just shows you how large the room that he was actually buried in is. Han Dynasty tomb mural. This is so incredible. And this also shows you, don't just walk past things. I walked right past this. I didn't even pay attention. I was walking straight. I was still trying to process this jade suit that I had just seen. Walk right past it. Incredible. Here's the gift shop. As y'all can probably tell, I'm making my way out of this museum. I've spent 4.5 hours here today. This is one of the most incredible museums I've ever seen in all of China. And it was totally free. Didn't cost me 1 penny. Sometimes maybe the best things in life are free. Again, out of the 9 items we came to see today, we saw 8. Only 1 was on loan to also another famous museum, Shanghai Museum. I hope you enjoyed today's content. I hope you enjoyed the things that I showed you and the way I presented it. If you liked it, stay tuned. Subscribe, because I make video like this all the time. I go to cool museums, cool places, full of history, culture, people stories. Again, hope you enjoyed it. I've certainly had a great day here. And my mind, honestly, is still trying to process all the different things that I just saw, because there's just been so much. I came in here with high expectations, and this place blew my expectations out of the water. I mean, this place is incredible. This is one of the most incredible museums I've ever been to in all of China. I'm gonna give you guys one more view of what it looks like. You see this structure here? A bronze ceremonial statue, ceremony piece. That's what the entire museum is shaped like. Henan Provincial Museum here in Zhengzhou, right in the middle of China. What a great museum. We'll be back. We will be back. Onwards and forwards. Coming up in the next few episodes, we're going to the actual place, the Ying ruins here in Henan, where they actually found some of these pieces, the Shang Dynasty tombs. That's where we're gonna go. Here's one more look, one final look at this incredible museum. Henan Museum, bye-bye. Thank you for hosting me today. What a great place. And I'll see you guys on the next episode coming up very, very soon. Stay tuned. In next week's episode, we continue the journey up north and trek to the Ying ruins, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's here where we will find the oldest excavated imperial tomb in all of China. It is also here where the earliest form of Chinese writing was discovered. Come along with us as we journey deeper into the heart of this beautiful country